One thing that is a big difference, there were some parts that we had left yesterday from module number 1. Let's cover those very quickly and then we'll move on. One thing that is a big debate on the RTI part is, should political parties come under RTI or not? In other words, can you ask a question to political parties? For example, can you ask a question to, let's say, this gentleman sitting over here, that how are you getting funds? Can you ask a question to Congress? Can you ask a question to BJP? How are you getting the funds? Are political parties under RTI or no? The simple answer is no. They are not under RTI. Now, why is it that they are not under RTI? What are the logic behind it? Let me try and explain this to you. Let's see both sides of the story for now. Let me first discuss the side of the story of political parties. What do the political parties say? What is their argument for not coming under RTI? They say that number one, we are not public authorities. They say we are not public authorities. In other words, they say we don't take money from the government. Government doesn't fund us. Taxpayers are not giving us the money. They say whatever money we are getting is from donors who want to give us money. These are private donors, private companies. So because we have not taken anything from the government, they say because we have not taken anything from the taxpayers, we should not be held accountable. This is their first argument. Again, I am not saying you should like the argument or not. That depends entirely upon you. But their argument is, because we are not taking any money from taxpayers, because the government is not helping us financially or anything, we should not come under this. Second argument. The second argument they give is, they can't disclose their donors. Why? Because then donors will be blackmailed. Let's take an example. Congress says, if we tell everyone who is giving us the money, then BJP will go and blackmail them. That why are you not giving us the money? Why are you giving them the money? So every political party says, if we tell everyone who is our donor, then the problem is that donor will be blackmailed. That donor will now come to picture, and we do not want that to happen. These are the main reasons that they give. However, there are reasons on the opposite side as well. Reasons given by experts who believe that political parties should come under RTI. Let's see why. First big reason. Do you know most of the main political parties in India, or national recognized political parties in India at least, they have big offices in Delhi. If you are someone who lives in Delhi, or if you have been to Delhi, you might know this. If you move around, for example, near ITO, near Delhi railway station, you will see a huge office of the BJP, humongous BJP office. It's just opposite to the CAG building. You see in New Delhi, there are huge offices of Congress, there are huge offices of all these parties. They have offices, these parties have offices in Delhi, in those areas where the land cost is one of the highest in the entire country. It's almost impossible to buy land in such an area because it is so costly. How do the political parties afford land, and how do they build offices? Because most political parties get land from the central government, and they can get land at a much cheaper price. Most political parties get subsidized land. So now the question is, if the political parties are getting subsidized land from the government, that means indirectly they are taking help of the government, right? So you can't say that they are not taking help of the government. If they get land from the government at a subsidized price to build their party office, obviously they are getting some help from the government, number one. Second important argument. Opposition parties say that we are not the government, we are not running the government, so why to ask us questions? Okay, political parties say, opposition parties say, we are not the government. Ask questions to government, we are not the government. But that is not true. Why? You know, leader of opposition has a very important role to play in many committees. We just saw in the appointment of Central Information Commission, the leader of opposition is a member. Lokpal Appointment Committee, again leader of opposition is a member. NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, again leader of opposition is a member. So leader of opposition might not be a part of the government, but he or she is still a part of many important committees of the government. So to say that no, we don't form the part of the government, that is false. Even the opposition parties do form a part of the government in this manner. And that is why the argument is the political parties should also come under RTI. But the reality is right now, as of today, political parties are not under the RTI. Let's discuss this why. Why is it that political parties are not under RTI? Or let me ask you this. Who has the power to bring political parties under RTI? What do you think? Who has the power to bring political parties under RTI? Who will do that? In simple terms, it is the parliament that will do that. The parliament has to amend the law, right? In simple terms, it is a parliament that has to amend the RTI Act. By amending the RTI Act, the parliament will ensure that the political parties come under this. Now, tell me very honestly, do you think the parliament, which comprises of political parties only, will tell that the political parties are under RTI? Would they do that? That tomorrow onwards, they bring themselves under RTI? Obviously, they will not do that. So this is the entire problem. That political parties, because they themselves have the power to take decisions, they obviously will not do that. And I'll tell you something very interesting. There are certain laws on which every political party agrees with each other. For example, whenever there is a bill introduced to increase the salary of a member of parliament, every political party will vote yes, without even thinking, because that is national interest, because we have to do that. So every political party says yes to that. No discussion, nothing. I'll give you one more example. Have you heard of something called FCRA? Have you heard of something called FCRA? Okay. Listen to this carefully. We'll discuss FCRA later on sometime. Let me tell you. Okay. Now listen to this very carefully. This is very interesting. Listen to this very carefully. So there is a law in India about can you get funding from foreign countries or not. Listen to this very carefully. There is a law in India about whether political parties can get funding from outside the country or not. This is called FCRA. FCRA stands for Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Now keep on listening to this very carefully. This is very, very important. So there is an FCRA law that we have in India, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. In simple terms, the law says political parties cannot take funding from outside India. What happens if they do take funding? If political parties take funding from outside India, then the president of the political party will be jailed for some years. Okay? If the political party takes funding from outside India, the president of the political party will be jailed for some years. Now, what happened? There, a few years back, I think 2016 or 17, there was a case filed in the Delhi High Court. In Delhi High Court, there was a case filed. What was the case? The case was that most political parties, including Congress and the BJP, including the two biggest parties, Congress and the BJP, have taken funding from outside India. And it was proven that yes, they have taken funding from outside India. So they have broken the FCRA law. It means that the president of BJP and the president of Congress should go to jail. But did they go to jail? What do you think? Obviously, they did not go to jail because overnight, a parliament session was called. Overnight, the law was amended. No discussion, nothing. Law was amended because everyone is the same. It was amended saying that in the last few years, whichever funding we have taken, all of that is now gone. They passed the law with a retrospective effect. Retrospective effect means Whatever we have done earlier, that also is right now. No discussion, nothing. Everyone shook the hands and they are saying, very good, national interest. That is how the law works. So when it comes to their own interest, national interest, comma, self-interest, whatever you want to call them, when it comes to their own interest, every political party supports each other. But when it comes to the interest of someone else, then they are fighting with each other. So this is how political parties work. FCRA is something you will read in your current affairs, etc. It's Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Anyways, so political party is not under RTI. Let's come to the second part of it. What about the judiciary? Is judiciary under RTI or not? Now, is judiciary under RTI or not has two answers. There's an answer that is yes, and there's an answer that is no. Now, why do I say this? Why yes and why no? Let me try and explain this to you. Many of you, I'm sure most of you, would have heard the name Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi. I'm sure you would have heard the name, right? Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi. Now, what happened? Why am I taking his name? So basically what happened, Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi, when he was about to retire, see, he was about to reach the age of 65 years, about to retire. When someone retires from their job, when someone is about to leave their job, people have this idea in their mind that I should do something so that the world remembers me. I want to leave a legacy behind me. I want the world to remember me. So Justice Ranjan Gogoi, when he was leaving the office, just a few days before that, he thought I'll do very interesting things so that people remember me. So what did he do? He announced that I will decide the Ayodhya case. I will not let it go. I will decide it when I am in the office. In his last few days, he decided the Ayodhya case. Fine. Then there was an application filed, a PIL filed in the Supreme Court, saying that Office of Chief Justice of India should come under RTI. What did Mr. Gogoi do? Mr. Gogoi thought, I am anyways retiring after a few days. It will not impact me. Let me just say, okay, Chief Justice of India under RTI. Tata, bye-bye, my time is over now. So before he retired, he announced that the Office of the Chief Justice of India is under RTI. This is what he did. Because he knew he's retiring, he's not going to be Chief Justice of India anymore anytime. So let it be. Let's have some fun. Now the interesting part starts. The interesting part is, after he retired, new Chief Justices came in. New Chief Justices, ever since Justice Ranjan Gogoi retired, have not spoken a word about it. New Chief Justices have not spoken any word about it. They have remained quiet because they think if you don't discuss, people will forget anyways. So why to discuss? So there is still no clarity on what kind of questions can you ask to the Chief Justice of India. Because Ranjan Gogoi just said, yes, you can ask the question, now I'm going, bye-bye. What kind of questions can be asked? What cannot be asked? What is inside of it? There is still no clarity on this. That is why no one knows what kind of questions can you ask the judiciary. There are some assumptions that are being made. What are the assumptions? The assumptions are that, for example, the Chief Justice of India is the administrative head of the Supreme Court. Chief Justice of India is the administrative head of the Supreme Court. What does it mean? It means that apart from the judges, if you leave the judges apart from judges, all the other people who work in the Supreme Court, the clerks and hundreds of other people who work in the Supreme Court to run the court, all of these are appointed by the Supreme Court Chief Justice. Chief Justice decides on the appointment of all the other people. So he has that responsibility. The assumption is maybe you can ask the questions about the administrative part of the court. You can ask the question to CJI only about the administrative part of the court, not about the cases that are running. Again, that's an assumption because not a lot of details have been given about what can you ask, what can you not ask. I'll give you one other very interesting example. An example about people doing a lot of interesting things when their time is about to over. Have you heard of this person called Mr. VP Singh? Have you heard of this person called Mr. VP Singh? I'm sure you have. Right. VP Singh. So VP Singh, ex-Prime Minister of India. So I'll tell you a very interesting story about him. Listen to me very carefully. So Mr. VP Singh, the ex-Prime Minister of India, what happened was he became the Prime Minister. It was a coalition government. Coalition government means many political parties came together, supported him, and then he became the Prime Minister of India just to keep the Congress out. So he became the Prime Minister. Now, what happened in this case was there were two political parties that were actually supporting him. Let me enter. Yeah. So there were two political parties that were supporting Mr. VP Singh's government. One party was the BJP and one party the RJD. Both of these were supporting the VP Singh government. BJP led by Mr. L.K. Advani. RJD led by Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav. Now listen to this very carefully. It's a very interesting story. So what happened was Mr. L.K. Advani of the BJP started something called the Rath Yatra, where he said that I will go on a Rath across the entire country, cover many states. Yatra will end at Ayodhya. So it was the part of the Ayodhya movement. So this Yatra was going on. Now, Lalu Prasad Yadav was the Chief Minister of Bihar. He had announced openly that if the Yatra enters Bihar, he will arrest Mr. Advani. He had announced this openly that if the Rath Yatra enters the state of Bihar, he will arrest Mr. Advani because he thinks it will create a law and order problem. So what happened? Mr. L.K. Advani entered the state of Bihar. The CM of Bihar gave the order and he was arrested. Just preventive detention, basically arrested so that the law and order problem doesn't occur. Now, look at it from the side of Mr. VP Singh. Mr. VP Singh was the Prime Minister. Both these parties were supporting Mr. VP Singh. Mr. VP Singh knew that as soon as Mr. Advani is arrested, obviously BJP will withdraw support from the government because they will say the Prime Minister did not protect us, we are withdrawing the support, so the government will fall down. So Mr. VP Singh knew that his government is going to fall down very easily, very soon. He knew he will not be Prime Minister for a long time. So what did he want to do? He wanted to leave a legacy so that people remember him. And what did he do? He implemented the Mandal Commission report that led to the OBC reservation. So the entire idea of implementing OBC reservation was taken by Mr. VP Singh, the Prime Minister, in his last few days as the Prime Minister. Because again, leaving a legacy behind so that the people remember me. There are two things to remember here. I am not saying the OBC reservation is right or wrong, correct or incorrect. That is a decision that you decide on your mind. But remember, the Mandal Commission report was not a report that came at the time of VP Singh. Mandal Commission report is a 10-year-old report that was given in 1979. We are talking about 1990. He implemented the report all of a sudden after 10 years and he said, okay, I'm giving the reservation. And now, okay, tata, bye-bye. My time as a Prime Minister is over. Now I am going. So there are multiple examples in history that you will find, not just in India, but around the world, that when people come towards the end of their tenure, when people come towards the end of their term, they take a lot of very interesting decisions, mainly with the purpose of leaving a legacy behind, people remembering me. That is also something that, again, I'm not saying right or wrong, but that is what happens. Now, this ruling of Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi, that Chief Justice of India should come under RTI, he also said that RTI should not be used as a tool of surveillance. Means RTI should not be used just to keep an eye on the Supreme Court's working. Judicial independence is important and it should be kept transparent. It also said that you can ask for personal asset of the judges. Now, please understand this. The ruling said in the RTI, you can ask for personal asset of the judges. Now, what do you mean by that? Have you heard this phrase called disproportionate assets? Have you heard this? Disproportionate asset. Disproportionate asset. Have you heard of this? Okay. Let me give you a simple example. Those who understand, great. Those who don't, let me give you an example. Let's assume that you have a salary of 80,000 rupees per month. Okay. Let's say this is your salary. In this salary, let's assume you have a private jet. You have 3 5 BHK bungalows. You have your own personal IPL team. Do you think it is possible? You have a 80,000 salary, then you have a private jet, then you have a 5 BHK bungalow, 3 of those, you have an IPL team? No. This is a case of disproportionate asset. In simple terms, when the assets that you own are much more than your earning, you are not able to justify how is that possible. You don't have a very rich dad or mom. You did not find any lottery. How will you justify that? This is called proportionate asset. If you are a politician and you don't have a disproportionate asset case against you, then you are not a real politician. As simple as that. So politicians in India are very common with these kind of cases. I'll give you 2 examples. So for example, if you're from Tamil Nadu, you would know for sure, late Jayalalitha, she was the chief minister of Tamil Nadu. She was removed because she had a case of disproportionate asset against her. She was proven to be guilty and she had to be removed from that post. There are many other examples. Look at the daughter of Telangana Chief Minister KCR Rao. Again, the same case. Look, come to UP. Mulayam Singh Yadav, when he was alive, he again had the same case. So all these are very common case of disproportionate asset. Now come back to this. This is why it is important for the public to know the personal asset of the judges as well. For example, if a judge today has 2 crore rupees in the bank account, fine. But if after 1 year the judge says, now I have 100 crore rupees in the bank account, so something wrong has happened in between, right? Something wrong has happened. How is it that your assets grew from 2 crore to 100 crore in 1 year? This is not what your salary is. This is how the RTI can be useful. You can file an RTI now to ask for the personal asset of the judges. By the way, do you know members of Lok Sabha, for example, have to submit a record of their personal asset every year to the Lok Sabha speaker? Do you know that? If you're a Lok Sabha member, every year you have to submit a form to the Lok Sabha speaker telling him or her what are your personal assets, how much money you have in the bank, how much property you own, etc., so that they can keep a track of it. If something changes very drastically, then there will be any investigation on you that how did you get all that money. This is how the RTI can help in case of judiciary as well. Now, there are some challenges with respect to bringing judiciary under the RTI. First big challenge, as I said, there is still lack of clarity. There is still not much clarity over what kind of questions can you ask to the Supreme Court or Chief Justice of India and what can you not ask. Second problem, the administrative burden. How many cases do we have pending in the judiciary in India right now? What do you think? What do you think? What are the current pending cases in all the judiciary, not just Supreme Court? What do you think? Those who are saying 10,000, I wish it was 10,000. Okay. So I'll give you an exact number. The exact number is 43880 345. This is the exact number. This is the exact number. 4 crore 38 lakh 80,345. Now, how can you know about the exact number? It's pretty simple. Go to Google and search for this. Search for this. Go to Google, just type this: National Judicial Data Grid. Just type this: National Judicial Data Grid. This is a portal run by the Government of India, which gives you real-time number of cases that are pending. Civil cases, criminal cases, total number of cases. This will also tell you which cases or how many cases are pending more than 5 years, pending more than 10 years, etc. So these are the number of total cases pending in India. In simple terms, 4.38 crore. Now, the problem here is when we have close to 4.5 crore cases pending already, do you want to put extra burden on judiciary now to handle RTIs also? Should the judiciary not spend all their time in resolving the cases? If they already have so many pending cases, do they now have to go ahead and look at RTI also? This is the problem of administrative burden, that they already have so much burden on them. Why to burden them even more and ask them to now look at RTI as well? This also remains a big problem. Now, coming to the last part of the class that we had to cover yesterday, there is a law called the Official Secrets Act. There is a law called the Official Secrets Act of 1923. As you can understand by the year, it was introduced by the British. Now, when it was introduced by the British, the idea was very simple. The British wanted to make sure that they try and control the freedom of the press. So basically what the British did, they introduced this law so that anyone publishing any information against the government is punished, so that the government can say that, see, you publish an official data. Even today, the Government of India uses this law mainly against journalists. Every few months, you will see some journalist or the other being arrested under the act, that is the Official Secret Act. Why? Whenever any journalist investigates a case, brings out some evidence or some news against the government that government does not like, that the government wanted to protect or wanted not to share, they will usually put this charge on the journalist that you are misusing or you are bringing out official secret and we cannot allow that. Now, the problem is, this is also a big issue with respect to RTI. As I discussed, when you file an RTI and the Government of India does not want to give you certain answers, the Government of India just goes ahead and says this is an official secret and we cannot give it to you. So Official Secret Act is criticized by the journalists because they are being arrested under this, and it is being criticized by the RTI activists also, because the RTI activists believe that they do not get complete information from the government because the government misuses the law. This law, the Official Secrets Act, has two aspects. First, spying or espionage. Spying, as you know, taking out information from the government. Espionage means, again, deliberately harming the government, harming something intentionally. That is espionage. Or if you disclose secret information of the government. All of these cover the act or come under the OSA Act. The problem is, there is no official definition of what is secret information. There is no official definition of what do you mean by secret information. This becomes a big problem because the government, whenever they want to hide some information, can randomly say this is secret, this is not secret. So we will not disclose that information. Also, the law says the person who gives the information and the person who receives the information, both of them will be punished. Again, the act is not just about person who steals the information. Even the person who is receiving the information will be punished under the act. Now, this act, if you go back to the history, starts from the British era. It starts from 1889. With time, it was changed. The final version of the act that we have even today was the one introduced in 1923. It's very interesting to see the acts introduced by the British for the purpose of fighting against India's freedom fighters. Just imagine, British introduced certain acts to fight against our freedom fighters, and now our own governments who worship the freedom fighters are using the same act. So, and it is not just about one political party. Every party has does this. No party ever since they have come to power has said that we will take back the law. No, everyone is happy to continue with the law. Same as a sedition law, same as preventive detention law. Do you know, around the world, no other democratic country has a law such as preventive detention law. Preventive detention law is a law that we have since the time of the British. No other democratic country has it. But we are happy to continue it. Doesn't matter how much we criticize the British, but we are happy to take their laws when they suit us and our purpose. There are two big problems with the OSA Act. First, the problem we have been discussing since yesterday, it is in conflict with the Right to Information Act. Whenever you ask for information, the government doesn't want to give the information to you. They will just say, no, this is an official secret, we can't disclose the information. That is a one big problem. It is in conflict with the Right to Information Act. Second big problem, it misinterprets the breach of national security. The problem is, if a journalist tries to publish an information which the government does not like, government will say it is against national security, but that is not true. That is not how national security works. Criticizing the government cannot be interpreted or should not be interpreted as harming India's national security. But the Official Secret Act allows the government to do that. It allows the government to interpret national security. By interpreting that, they arrest the people who they want, and this remains a big problem with the Official Secrets Act even today. The Official Secrets Act has been, or there have been suggestions to change it. There are three suggestions I can tell you about. In 1971, the Law Commission said that Official Secrets Act should not be used very frequently. Just because a file says it is secret doesn't mean that automatically it should come under Official Secrets Act. Official Secret Act should be used only and only when truly the security and safety of the country is in danger. The second ARC also suggested that the law of Official Secret Act should be repealed, should be taken away. Not just this, in 2015, the government had set a committee. 2015 means this government only. They set a committee to look into how to improve the working of the Official Secret Act, but they did not make any changes in it. So time and time again, there have been recommendations given how to improve the Official Secrets Act, but it has not been changed so far. We still have the same Official Secrets Act as we had earlier. This is the end of module 1 that we had yesterday. Now we come to the beginning of module 2. Before we do that, let me take up a few questions and then we'll go on to module number 2. Let me see. Simranpreet has a question. If someone asks for any documentation of government employee, then how do they react? Do they request that employee to send a document, or they ask first if they want to reveal or not? No, Simran, understand this. You cannot ask for any personal document of any government employee anyway. So when you ask for a document, you are not asking for an employee document. What is an employee document? Personal documents anyways cannot be shared. You're asking for a government document. So you don't ask the employee. You're asking the person who has the power to issue it. As simple as that. Anshul is saying, Government can extend the tenure of sitting CIC. Yes, Anshul. Government has taken the power by itself to decide the tenure of CIC. They can increase, they can decrease, they can change whenever they want. That is a part of the problem. When you don't have someone with a fixed tenure, when you have someone whose tenure is decided by the government on their whims and fancies, that becomes a big problem. Okay, let me see some other questions. Baldev, this is the slide of OS. Suggestion of OSA, this is the slide. You anyways have the PPT, you can see the slide yourself, no? Okay, then I have the question. Vikram is saying, can we file RTI against elected MPs, MLAs? They're also public authorities. Vikram, you can. I would just suggest you, when you write this sentence, don't say, can you file RTIs against? RTI is not against someone. You can't say, I want to file RTI against Supreme Court, against MPs, against MLAs. No. You have to write, can I file RTIs to ask for information from MP or MLA? RTI is not against someone. RTI is to ask for information. As simple as that. Then Sania is saying, when Parliament has the power to bring under RTI Act, then can CJI rule that Office of Chief Justice of India would be open to RTI? Sania, that is what has happened. Na? Chief Justice of India only has ruled, because Supreme Court has the power to bring complete justice in the society under Article 142. So Supreme Court is not really dependent on Parliament or anything. Supreme Court can do whatever they want. Sachin is saying, can you explain OSA in simple terms? OSA, which means Official Secrets Act, is an act that says if the government has marked some information as an official secret, anyone who discloses that information to the public, anyone who shares that information will be punished by law. This is OSA, Official Secrets Act. Perfect. Let's move ahead then. Again, for some reason, if you did not catch on some part of the class in between, please see the recorded version. That is why the recordings are here for you. Let's go ahead then. The next thing that we will be discussing, module number 2, basically talks about two very important topics. In module number 2, we will be discussing number 1, Citizens Charter, and number 2, the CAG. These are the two things that we'll be discussing in module number 2. We'll first start with Citizens Charter. That is a part of how government remains more transparent. And then we'll go ahead with the CAG. Let me first ask you this. How many of you have seen or know what is a Citizens Charter? How many of you know what is a Citizens Charter? How many of you have seen what is a Citizens Charter? Okay, most of you don't know. By the way, if you are feeling bad, please don't feel bad. Before I entered the field of UPSC, even I did not know what is a Citizens Charter. So don't worry. Most people don't know what is a Citizens Charter. We, in our day-to-day life, we don't even have any idea what is a Citizens Charter. Okay, I'll give you an example. So basically, let's assume you go to a post office. Okay, let's assume you go to a post office. Now, when you enter the post office, you will see on one of the walls of the post office, there will be this big board. This board will tell you what are the services offered by the post office. For example, they will write number 1, ordinary post. Number 2, service offered, they will say speed post. Number 3, let's say parcel. Number 4, let's say money order. Just an example. Then they will write in how many days the service will be given. If you book today, in how many days will it reach? For example, it says ordinary post 10 days. Speed post 3 days. Parcel 5 days. Money order 10 days. Just an example. Then they will also say who is responsible, the name of the officer. Which officer is responsible? In the end, they will write, if the service is not given to you, if the service is not given to you in this time period, then where do you complain? Where can you go and complain? This is a simple example of a Citizens Charter. This is a simple example of a Citizens Charter. Let me try and explain this to you. Citizens Charter is a set of promises made by a government department to the clients or the citizens who are taking their services. This is what a Citizens Charter is. Citizens Charter tells you what are the different services offered by the government department, what is the time limit within which the services can be expected, and if the services are not given in that time period, where can you complain, what can you do. In simple terms, this is a Citizens Charter. Now, why do we have or why do we need a Citizens Charter? The idea is very simple. Tell me this honestly. Let's assume money is not a concern. Let's forget about money right now. Let's assume you have to post a letter today. Where will you go? To post office or to places such as DTDC, Blue Dart, or these courier companies, DFL, etc., DHL? Where would you go? Would you go to post office? Would you go to DTDC, Blue Dart, etc., FedEx? If money is not a problem, let's not talk about money. Post, that can be rich, poor, whatever. Most people will go to a private sector organization. Most people will. The reason for opting for a private sector organization is simple. Over the years, we have seen how the services offered by the government department has reduced drastically. I can give you one more example. Let's take one more example. If you have to take a new number today, and in your area you have all the networks available, will you go with BSNL or will you go with Jio or Airtel or Voda Idea, whatever? Will you go with BSNL? Mostly the answer will be no. You will not go with BSNL because you know the services may not be that great. You know that the services may have an issue. You know there would be many problems. So you would not go ahead with that. So for many reasons over the years, the government departments have lost out on a lot of business because the people don't trust these government departments much with their services. The people think that the private organizations are more efficient, that we can trust the private organizations more, that these private organizations can ensure that at the end of the day, we are able to get the job done. Now, what is the problem with this? The government is losing out on a lot of money. Secondly, government has to pay the salary of people working in BSNL, post office, so government wants the people to come back. In order to build more trust into the minds of the people, into the minds of people who use these services, this is where Citizens Charter comes into the picture. So Citizens Charter or CC is in simple terms declaration of the commitment. What are the services offered to the clients? In how many days a service can be given? The idea is to empower the citizens, as simple as that. That is what the Citizens Charter is about. I will give you two examples of Citizens Charter today. One is this. Other example I'll give you later on in a much detailed manner. Please understand, I don't want you to remember what is written in the charter. No. Those questions are not asked. The questions that are asked are, how is the Citizen Charter good? What are the problems in the Citizen Charter? How can we improve? So on and so forth. I'm just giving you examples of Citizen Charter. I'm not asking you to remember them. So this is one example of a very simple Citizen Charter. Very simple Citizen Charter. As you can see, it's a Citizen Charter of a government college. What does it say? What are the services it provides? Admission, prospectus, identity card, duplicate iCard, college magazine, character certificate, so on and so forth. Then it tells you in how many days will the service be given to you. Like it says, admission as per university schedule, identity card within 10 days of the admission, prospectus 5 days before the schedule commencement, duplicate ID card or library card on the same day as the application. This is how the time period is given. Then the charter also says who is responsible for giving this service. Librarian, clerk, university clerk, faculty, scholarship committee, principal. This is an example of a citizen charter, the very simple, easy example of how citizen charters are. The idea of citizen charter, however, did not begin in India. In India, the beginning was in 1997. In India, the beginning was in 1997, but worldwide, the idea of citizen charter began in UK in 1991. It was in 1991 that they had this idea that we want to make the government departments, the government offices much more attractive to the people. So we have to make citizen charter, promise people good service. India and many other countries also used this idea. In 1997, we started the implementation. How? The Indian government chose some banks that let's have citizen charter in some banks. So in some banks, this kind of a board was put that what are the services offered by the bank: opening account, demand draft, saving account, lockers, these kind of current accounts, etc. In how many days will the service be given, etc. Who was given the responsibility to implement citizen charter? There is a government department responsible for this. The name of the department is Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. In short, DARPG. DARPG, or Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. This is the department that is responsible for implementing the Citizens Charter. The problem with the Citizens Charter is, and we'll discuss that later on as well, the biggest problem with the Citizens Charter is there is no legal backing of Citizens Charter. They are not legally enforceable. What do I mean when I say not legally enforceable? Let's come back to this charter. So this charter says college magazine you will get within 10 days of the publication. It says within 10 days of the publication, you will get the college magazine. Now let's assume you don't get it within 10 days. You keep on requesting, nothing happens. Do you have the right to go to the court? No, you don't. This is the biggest problem with the Citizens Charter, that they don't have any legal backing. That is what makes the Citizens Charters extremely weak. Doesn't matter what the promises made are, doesn't matter what the charter says, but at the end of the day, they have no legal backing. So you can't really go to the court if they have not been followed. Right now, there is a separate website for Citizens Charter made by the Government of India. It's a very recent website. It did not used to exist earlier. Earlier, we did not have this website. Now we have a specific website for Citizens Charter. You can see this Citizens Charters of a lot of different departments in this menu. If you click here, for example, it will show you Citizens Charters of a lot of different government departments. I don't want you to go ahead and see that because I will show you here itself one more Citizen Charter of a government department so that you have an idea. Now, this website itself tells you that the idea of Citizen Charter started in UK in 1991. Why? To improve the public services, to ensure that when the people come to these government departments to ask for a certain work, they are assured of certain minimum level of work, that you will at least be given this work. The British government, when they introduced Citizen Charter, they said that we want to ensure accountability in the government, transparency in the government. We want to ensure value to the stakeholders. This is what British government thought. For you, it is not important, don't worry. For you, it is not that important. In India, Citizens Charter is this. In Indian Citizen Charters, usually you will find all these components. Usually you will find all these components in India's Citizen Charter. For example, you will find the mission and the vision statement of the government organization, the details of what businesses are conducted, what services are offered, who are the clients that are served by the organization, what services are given. Grievance redressal means where to complain if you have not been given full complete service. Expectation from the client also, that if you are taking services, what is expected from you, like how much fee that you have to give, what forms do you have to fill, how many certificates that you have to give, etc. And also it may have details about compensation as well. Compensation as in, if the service has not been given to you within the given time period, would you be given some compensation or not? Usually, these are the things that we have in a citizen charter. It is not necessary that every citizen charter will have all of these. It's not necessary. Depends on department to department. Because there is no law about citizen charter, we do not have one single way of making a charter. There are different ways in which charter is made. Usually these are the components. I will show you one more citizen charter in detail so that you can understand another form of citizen charter. The first one that I showed you was a citizen's charter of a government college. Now let's look at the citizen's charter of Department of Higher Education that works under the Ministry of Education. So Department of Higher Education that works under the Ministry of Education, they also have this citizen's charter. Let's see how does the citizen's charter looks. Again, I am not saying that the citizen's charter that they have here is the one that is exactly the same for every department. It is different for different departments. Let's see. In the beginning, they tell you what is our vision. So their vision is to realize India's human resource potential to the fullest in the higher education sector. This is their vision. Vision means in the long term, what do they want to achieve? In the long term, in next 50 years, 60 years, what do they want to achieve? Then they also have a vision statement. Vision is to give opportunities for higher education, to support all the existing institutions, to support private colleges, public institutions, etc., to give high quality infrastructure. All these are part of the mission. Again, I said this earlier, I'll repeat this again. You do not have to remember the components or what is written in a citizen charter. That question will not be asked. You don't have to remember what is written in citizen charter of which department. That is not important. You just have to remember the idea of citizen charter, what is it, how does it work, etc. Then this citizen charter has a list of the clients. Clients means who can take their services. Citizens of India, faculty, students of education institutions, people's representative like MP, MLA, etc., Ministry of Minority Affairs, Women, Child Development, Social Justice, etc., scientific department, state government organizations, any one of these can take the services of this Department of Higher Education. Then their citizen charter also tells what are the services that they offer, like release of funds under certain government schemes, giving scholarships, filling up vacancies in faculties, etc., giving response to any inquiry, giving payment to the vendors. This is what are the services that they offer. And this is a time period, the timeline in which the services are offered. Then their charter also tells grievance redressal, means where to complain, whom to complain. If they have a problem, if the services are not given to them, where and to whom can they complain? There is a number given, there is a phone number, email ID, etc. given. They also have told that you can file and complain online here as well. They have given a link to the government portal where you can go ahead and file the complaint. This is again an example of a citizen's charter. It also says what are the expectations from the clients. For example, any inquiry that you write here should be clear and specific. All the stakeholders should send all the information on time. Grants of funds will only be done if you give documents, etc. So these are the expectations that have been set from the Citizens Charter. And it also says it was last reviewed in April 2020. Again, as I said, not every Citizens Charter will be the same. And the reason is simple. There is no law behind Citizens Charter. There is no one single law that tells how the Citizens Charter will be made, why the citizen charters are being made. So every department might have their own version of citizen charter. The one that I showed you here is the one that has been used by Department of Higher Education in the Ministry of Education. It might have some components, it might not have some components. Some other government departments might have some different type of a citizen charter. So it really depends on what different departments actually want. Now coming to what are the issues in the Indian Citizen Charter. Before I do that, let me again take up a few questions. There are a few questions that have been asked. Just give me a moment, just a second. Yeah. So let me first quickly answer some of the questions that have been given. One question is from Labdhi. Labdhi is asking, in states where AFSPA is imposed, in that case, human rights violations done by CRPF or border management forces that are deployed can be asked. Yes, you can. You can ask questions about those incidents that are pointing out toward human rights violations. Then Farhan is asking, what is the guarantee that under the RTI, the information that the government provides is correct? See, Farhan, at the end of the day, you don't have much option but to trust the government. At the end of the day, for example, when the government says our GDP growth is 10%, so you can ask, what is a guarantee? It can be 20 also, it can be 50 also. So you can't calculate the data on your own, right? At the end of the day, there are limitations to being just a common citizens. Similarly, the government says X number of people have died because of COVID. What can you do? You cannot say, no, I will count myself. I will now go. So that you have to depend on the government at the end of the day. And that is applicable to not just India, applicable to all the countries. At the end of the day, you don't have many options, but at the end of the day, to trust the government. I'm not saying the government will always 100% be true, but you have to do that. You can't really have many other options. Then I told you yesterday as well, and I'm telling you once again, listen to this. Almost half of the questions being asked today or yesterday also are about, can I file RTI in this? Can I file RTI in that? Can I file RTI in this? RTI in that? My answer is simple. Spend 10 rupees, file the RTI, see if you get an answer or not. If yes, great, I will give you cashback of rupees 10. If no, then sorry, you lose out on the money. So let's take that chance, because again, the government decides whether they want to give that information or not. So if you have that in you to be the player to bet 10 rupees, 10 real rupees, then please go ahead and do that. Let me know if you get the answer or not. Okay. Okay. Then I have a question from Meshak. Meshak is saying, can we file RTI in any private institution? No, Meshak. Private institutions are not under RTI. You cannot file an RTI asking something from me. I will not respond because I am not a public authority. See, the simple objective of RTI is what? Simple objective of RTI is not that you like a girl or a boy, so you file an RTI to know their phone number. That is not how RTI works. RTI's idea is, if something is running on government money, because it is your money, you have the right to know the information. As simple as that. It can't be used for your own benefit, that, oh, let me see where he lives or she lives or what is the phone number. You can't do that, right? Ranjan is saying PM cares. Ranjan, are you asking me, does the PM care or not? I think he does. I don't know. You can ask him under the RTI, sir, do you care or not? So if that's your question, PM cares. If that's not question, then at least ask the complete question, right? Your question only has 2 words. PM cares, question mark. I think he cares. I don't know. I hope so. Then Then I have a question. Payal is saying, explain Citizen Charter. I explain it in the simplest terms possible. Citizen Charter is a set of services offered by a government department to the citizen. That is called Citizen Charter. Like, you go to a restaurant, you have a menu. The menu tells you what can you order and it will come in what time. That is a Citizen Charter. So when you go to a government department, they have this menu. They tell you what are services that we offer. In how many days can you get the service? If you don't get the service, complaint. That is a Citizen Charter. Simple. Shruti, as I said, spend 10 rupees, file the RTI. Let's see you get a response or not. If you do, great. If not, I don't know. let that 10 rupee be bye-bye. Okay, I'll take one more question. It seems that even after coming to Citizen Charter, people are stuck at RTI for some reason. Guys, RTI is not that important as a topic. So don't lose your sleep over RTI. Okay, let's come to other topics also. Okay, I'll take one more question. Himanshi is saying private entities can also have Citizen Charter or not. See, the idea is simple. Citizen Charter is applicable or it is used in government departments. But if a private department wants to have an RTI or wants to have, let's say, a Citizen Charter, who is stopping them? For example, you can have a Citizen Charter in your house. Who is stopping you? You put it in your house that when the guests come in, this is what you have to do. Remove your shoes here. Order food in 10 minutes, you will get food. Order for water, you will get water in 5 minutes. So private organizations can have their own Citizen Charter. Who is stopping them? It is not compulsory, but private organizations can have their own Citizen Charter, as simple as that. Vaishnavi saying, is there a Citizen Charter in every government department? Vaishnavi, I won't say every, but the government has asked every department to have it. Some of them have still not have it. Okay. Shuja has a question. There are many departments who file RTI in your behalf. Share the issue with them. Example, Young Lawyers Forum. Shuja, is that a question to me? Is that a suggestion to me? Okay, Shuja has a suggestion for everyone. Shuja is saying for everyone, please make sure you go to what? Yeah, Young Lawyers Forum. They will file the RTI for you. So you don't have to spend 10 rupees. They will spend 10 rupees for you. Okay, that's your solution. So, okay. Anu says, who sets the Citizen Charter? Anu, as I said earlier, Citizen Charter is implemented by DARPG, Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. Femina is saying Nambi Narayan case, espionage case was under OSA. Yes, it was under OSA. Should we go ahead? Then I have a question from Sridevi. Questions are asked on Citizen Charter or not? Sridevi, questions are asked on Citizen Charter, but people are not allowing me to go ahead to the question. People are still stuck at RTI and they have question on RTI only. If you allow me to go ahead, maybe we will reach someday to the Citizen Charter questions as well. Guys, again, if you did not attend yesterday's class, as I can see from some of the questions that you did not attend yesterday's class, I would help you, or won't help you, but I would advise you rather to please go ahead and watch yesterday's recording. Most of your questions will be cleared just by watching yesterday's recording. Let's go ahead then. First, let's point about the problems of the Citizen Charter program. First big problem, bureaucratic mindset. All of those who are saying in the chat, please tell me what is bureaucratic mindset. You first go and see the class recording of yesterday. If you're asking me what is bureaucratic mindset, I know that you have not watched yesterday's class. Because if you remember, in yesterday's class, we spent about 10-15 minutes just talking about the bureaucratic mindset. Remember? So please go and watch yesterday's class in recording. If you don't want to do that because you're too busy, let me suggest you in very simple terms. Bureaucratic mindset means the government officials themselves don't want to go the extra mile. They don't want to go ahead and sign or do something extra apart from their job. Second problem with Citizen Charter, limited consultation. What do you mean by that? See, when the Citizen Charters are made for any department, the ideal way to make a Citizen Charter would be to consult a lot of people in that field. For example, let's say you are making a Citizen Charter for a post office. Consult those people who are working in the post office. Consult those people who use the post office services. Consult those companies that use post office. Only after that you will be able to make a good Citizen Charter. But right now, there is no consultation. Someone just randomly in the DARPG makes a Citizen Charter, sends it to all the post offices that this is your Citizen Charter. Third big problem, no penal provision, means there is no penalty. There is no penalty attached. So if a government official does not fulfill the responsibility of giving the service, there is no penalty on this. See, now there's a problem that you have to understand here. It is said that if you have to ask anyone to do their job properly, many people say, You can ask people to do their job properly either by using incentive or by giving them penalty. It is also called carrot and stick policy. Carrot and stick policy. Now, what do you mean by this? How does it actually work? So basically, the idea is simple. The idea is if you want someone to do their job well, you have to either incentivize them that you are doing such a great job, or you put a penalty that you are not doing the job, so we are putting a penalty on you. What is the issue here? Most people would say that the good thing should be to give incentive, right? Most people would say incentivize those people who are doing a good job. But the problem with incentivization is many people will say, oh, I don't want extra incentive. I am here just to do my job. I'll wake up late, go late, come back early. I don't want extra incentive. In real life, what works better is always penalty. Always. This always works better in real life. Some people may not want incentive, but no one wants to have a penalty. No one wants to say that, no, I am fine with penalty. So by imposing penalty, you are ensuring that people do the job that they are supposed to do under Citizen Charter, that they are getting paid to do. The other problem, people are hardly aware about it. Again, when we began this topic of Citizen Charter, I asked you here in the chat, how many of you have heard of Citizen Charter? And most of you rightly said you have not heard of Citizen Charter. Few years back, I could also say the same. I have no idea about what is Citizen Charter. The reason being there is absolutely no awareness about what is Citizen Charter. When we were in school, no one told us what is Citizen Charter. When we were in college, no one told us what is Citizen Charter. When you switch on the news, they don't tell you what is Citizen Charter. They tell you who died because of drugs. They tell you who is selling the drugs. They tell you who is buying the drugs, but they don't tell you what is Citizen Charter, what is not Citizen Charter. So how do you know about it? You don't see Citizen Charter in IPL ads also. So how would you come to know about it? Common people obviously hardly have any idea what is Citizen Charter. This is also a big problem in the Indian Citizen Charter program. Then the problems still continue. These are not the only problems. Lack of incentives, both at individual and at organization level. Now, please understand this. I personally have a lot of respect for anyone who gets a government job in India. And I'm not kidding. Anyone who gets a government job in India, I have a lot of respect for them because I know how hard it is to get a government job in India. In fact, any job in India. Government job, even more hard. I told this earlier as well. Railways D grade examination. D grade. The number of applications it got was over 2 crore. Over 2 crore applications for a few thousand posts in railway D grade. That tells you the level of competition that we have when it comes to government jobs in India. So I personally have a lot of respect for anyone who goes ahead, prepares for years and years, even after all that corruption, goes ahead and gets a government job. I have a lot of respect for them. Now, when after all that hard work, they go and get that government job, you can't expect them now to go beyond what they are supposed to do. Because, see, I'll tell you the problem in the government job. Let's say there are two people at the same post. This is Mr. A and this is Mr. B. Mr. A, he wants to make India a better place. He goes to office at 10 a.m. He comes back at 9 p.m. Even after that, he's just thinking about the office, thinking about the job, doing his job properly. Mr. B reaches office at 12, leaves at 4, leaves and then enjoys job. No issues. Who will get the promotion first? Who will get the promotion first? They will get the promotion at the same time. They will get promotion at the same time. Because it doesn't matter in the government job what are you doing. That is the biggest problem. In a government job, your promotion depends upon how many years have you spent on a government post. It doesn't matter what you were doing, how were you doing it. Now tell me, do you have any incentive to be Mr. A? Why would you be Mr. A? You don't have a family life if you are Mr. A. You are not enjoying if you are Mr. A. You are not doing anything else. You are just thinking of job and job and job. Look at Mr. B, enjoying it, spending 4 hours in the office, enjoying after that, no issues. Everyone will want to be Mr. B. As simple as that. Because if these two people joined on the same date, work at the same post, then their promotion will also be at the same level. As simple as that. It will not be based on who is working hard, who is working longer. That doesn't really matter. This is a big problem. So when you don't incentivize people to work hard, how can you expect others to come and work hard? And I'll tell you something. See, very honestly, I can understand. Let's assume you are an IAS officer, you are a DM. And again, I am not disrespecting anyone. I have utmost respect for even those who get the lowest level of government job because I know the level of competition. Let's assume you are an IAS officer, you are a DM, right? That's a different thing altogether. I'll tell you why. See, when you are the DM, you will be ready to spend 12 hours in your office, 13 hours. Why? Because you know that you are making a real difference in the life of the people. You know that with every decision that you take, the life of people can change. You can implement government schemes better. People will come to you with all their problems. You will be called when there is a law and order problem in the city. So as a DM, you have that incentive. I'm not saying promotion will come to you quickly, but as a DM, you work extra hours because you see that, yes, I am making a difference, so I will do that. But when you're in a clerical government job, just passing on files, just taking things from one place to the other place, you know at the end of the day, you are not making a lot of difference. In that case, again, how do you ask yourself to work 12 hours, 13 hours? You will not, because you will see, I'm not getting incentivized, so why would I do my work properly? This is where the problem starts. There is lack of incentive. Incentive is not just in the form of money. It can be in the form of promotion, posting, but that doesn't happen. Many government departments have not even made a citizen's charter. They have delayed it because they have ignored it. Many departments say, oh, we already have so many books, so many manuals, papers, let them be called citizens charter. They have not even made their own specific citizens charter. They have delayed it time and time again. Why would they delay it? The idea is simple. When no one is demanding a citizen charter from them, why would they make a citizen charter? The idea is simple. When common people don't demand something from the government, there is no reason for the government to do that. Why will the government go ahead and do that? Also, citizen charters don't have special provisions for people who require more help. Senior citizens, disabled, people who require more help from the government. Ideally, they should have special provision in the citizen charter, which do not really exist in most of these. The problems still don't end. There are other problems as well. Review and updation has been very poor. In some cases, citizen charter was made 10 years ago and they have forgotten about it. Not reviewed, not changed with time. They have made citizen charter once and then they have forgotten about it. Next problem, you don't have the power to actually take action against those officials who are not implementing the citizen charter well. For example, let's say there's a person who did not follow his mandate. There was a person who was supposed to do some work within 3 days. He or she did not do that. The person knows that I will not be fired from the job. I have a government job. This is again why they don't really follow or they don't really give everything they have for the citizen charter. Because the bureaucracy knows that they will not be dismissed from the job for this. Many citizen charters also have many technical jargon. What are technical jargons? Technical jargon means complex terms. There are complex terms that are used in many citizen charter. Technical terms, complex terms, which common people will not even be able to understand. This is done again specifically so that people don't even understand what is written in the Citizens Charter. And when people will not understand, they will obviously not ask questions. That is also a way in which officials bring the Citizens Charter to a lower level. Now, it's not that only you or me, we know the problems of Citizens Charter. Government also knows the problem with the Citizens Charter. In fact, in 1997, when the government of India implemented the charter, just 5 years after this, in 2002, they ordered a study to look into how citizens charters work in India. They ordered a study into how the citizen charters are working. Are they good? Are they bad? These were the outcomes of the study. First, charters are not formulated through a consultative process, so people are not asked for their suggestions. Service providers, the government department themselves, are not familiar with the citizens charter. They themselves don't know what to do with this. No publicity has been done. People don't know about it. No one knows about what is citizens charter, what is the point of it, and no funds have been given for awareness. See, this problem is a problem with almost every government initiative. Almost every government initiative. Remember yesterday also when we were talking about RTI, and I told you why people don't know about RTI, why people don't know how to file an RTI. The biggest reason is government has just not made people aware of this. The government has just not made an attempt, made an effort to at least tell people what is it. Similar is the case for Citizens Charter. The government has just not made an effort to let the people know. Why? Because see, letting more people know about the charter means increasing the workload of the government officials. Understand this. As more and more people know about Citizens Charter, they will demand more from the government officials, and government officials would not want that. So at the end of the day, not making people aware of Citizens Charter is also a choice of the government. They are not doing it because they forgot about it. Please understand, the one mistake that we commit is most of us think that politicians are not intelligent. Please never equate intelligence with education. Politicians, ministers are some of the most intelligent people you will ever see in your life. If you think you are intelligent, try to convince even 10 people to vote for you. Convincing someone to vote for you, even if you're telling a lie, is the most difficult thing ever. Go and stand in a class monitor election and see how many people vote for you. And then imagine lakhs of people voting for you. Doesn't matter if they're voting on a false promise, but they are voting for you. So don't ever make the mistake of thinking, oh, politicians, they don't know anything. They are not intelligent. They are extremely intelligent. So when they make a choice of not making people aware, it is a choice that they have made because they want it that way. It's not by mistake that government doesn't want people to know how to file an RTI. It's not by mistake that they don't know how to file or how Citizens Charter work. Governments have made it in such a way that people don't know about it because they are fine with that. The second ARC has given certain recommendations on Citizens Charter, on how we can have good citizen charters. First suggestion they gave, one size doesn't fit all. Let's take an example. Let's assume there is a post office in Delhi, and then let's assume there's a post office somewhere in, let's say, Nagaland. Now, in both these post offices, the citizen charter will be the same. So in Delhi post office also, it will say that we will deliver your speed post anywhere in the country in 3 days. In Nagaland also, citizen charter will say anywhere in the country we will deliver speed post within 3 days. Now, how is that possible? Obviously, a post office in Delhi will have more resources. They will have more speed posts coming in. They can deliver it within 3 days. They have that money. But for Nagaland, they might not be able to do that. But we have not considered that possibility. In India, Citizens Charter is the same for all departments. If there's a Citizen Charter for a post office, it is the same for all the post offices in the country. That's a big problem. So second ARC, that is a second Administrative Reforms Commission, has suggested that there should be different citizen charters depending upon different departments and their location and their resources. Second recommendation they have given, to have more consultation before forming a citizen's charter. We just discussed citizen's charter before being formed. You should consult employees of the government who are working in that department, people who are using the services of that department, to ask for what they require, what is their need. Only then you should have a citizen's charter. Only commit what you can deliver. You know, when you fall in love with someone, you promise them, I will bring the stars for you, I will bring the moon for you, I will buy a 10 crore car for you, I'll buy a private jet for you, right? And when they actually ask for these things, you say, oh, I was kidding. I did not mean that. Because you promised much more than what you could deliver. This is where the problem is. You have to understand that citizen's charter can only or should only commit what it has the capacity to deliver. If a government department is, let's say, promising that we will give this service to you in 5 days, they should only promise if they can deliver that. There is no point of making promises that you cannot fulfill later on, because that just deteriorates the trust in the minds of the public. Second, ARC also suggested that internal structure of department should change, meaning that if you want the post office to actually deliver everything within 3 days, give them the infrastructure, give them more people, give them more technology as well. There should be appropriate redressal mechanism, means appropriate method where to complain, how to complain. It should be made easier, like online complaint should be made better. Periodic evaluation should be done of the citizen charter. Keep on changing it time and time again, and hold the officers accountable for results. If someone is not able to do proper job, hold them accountable. I have said earlier as well, I will repeat once again. Second ARC recommendations are important. Why are they important? Because you can use them as suggestions. Use them as suggestions in the papers when the question is asked. And I'll show you some questions as well. Use them as suggestions because these are extremely, extremely handy. Apart from this, there are some other suggestions as well. Some suggestions given by the experts. First, hand-holding exercise for the first charter. So if there's a government department that is making their first ever charter, for that, experts should come and help them. Other departments should come and help them to make sure that they understand how to make the charter. So handhold them, guide them to make the first citizen charter so that they know how the structure has to be. Second, obviously raise more awareness. And third big issue, you have to change attitude in the public service. You have to make sure that at the end of the day, people who are working in the government department, they understand how the citizen charters work. See, doesn't matter what law the government introduces, doesn't matter what policy the government has, unless the people who are working in the government, unless the people working at the government post, unless they really want to implement citizen charter, no law can force them to implement citizen charter. So citizen charter will only be successful the people working in the government department actually want to. Yes, we will take a break very soon, don't worry. Other suggestions: incentivize people who are working well, who are following the citizen charter. Replicate the best practice. What does this mean? If there is a government department, for example, who is doing a great job of implementing citizen charter, let that be an example for others to learn. If there's a government department doing a very good job, let that be an example for others to follow as well. Showcase their best practice. Use simplified language. Don't have a citizen charter that is very detailed. Have a citizen charter that is easy to understand. People should be very easily able to understand what is written in the citizen charter, rather than going ahead and trying to understand what does it actually mean. Okay, let's take a break here for 15 minutes. This is a previous year question. We'll discuss this once we come back. You can think over this question. We'll come back once the break is over. Come back at 7:10 and we will resume from here. Thank you. Hi everyone. I hope all of you are back. There's a question from Ambesh. Ambesh is saying, please explain first point of other suggestions. What was the first point of other suggestions? Hand holding exercise due to first starters. What it means to say is, if there's a department that is creating their first charter ever, experts from different fields should help them with their first charter ever so that they make a good first charter. That is the meaning of this first suggestion. Okay, the previous year question. Now, understand this, citizens charter is not a difficult topic to understand. As you would have seen, pretty easy, simple topic to understand. However, the good part is, from citizens charter, every 2 to 3 years you will see a question in the mains exam about citizens charter. Sometimes the questions have even been asked in the ethics paper, in the GS4 paper. So citizen charter is not very difficult, but you do see a lot of frequent questions. Like in 2013, look at the question. Those citizen charter have been formulated by many public service delivery organizations, there is no corresponding improvement in the level of people satisfaction and the quality of the services provided analyzed. So in simple terms, what is it asking? It is asking that despite there being citizens charter in many organizations, we have not seen a lot of improvement in the public service. So basically, you have to tell about the problems in citizens charter. And in the end, in the concluding argument, you can also give way forward. And in the way forward, you can write suggestions by the second ARC. This is a question that is ready made for you. You can write very easy answer based on whatever we have discussed. In the introduction part, you can write the definition of citizens charter, what is the citizens charter, or you can give a fact. In the main body, you can start by telling the problems in the citizens charter. We have discussed so many problems in the last few slides. In the concluding argument, you can give suggestions how to improve citizens charter. In the suggestion, you can include some of the recommendations given by the second ARC. So very, very, very easy question to answer. Citizen starter questions are mostly based on this idea only: problem, solutions, problem, solutions. Similarly, 2018, very similar kind of question. 2018 said, Citizen Charter is an ideal instrument of organizational transparency and accountability, but it has its own limitations. Identify the limitation and suggest measures for effective improvement. So again, the same question. You have to tell about the problems again, and you have to again tell about or suggest measures. So again, the same kind of a question. Those who are asking, can you specifically write second ARC? Yes, you can. If you are writing the second ARC recommendations, you can write that the recommendations given by second ARC should be implemented, and then you can write about a few of the suggestions given by the second ARC. So this is a live example, a proof of how second ARC recommendations are important. Why are they important? Because their recommendations act as very good suggestions when it comes to these citizen charters. So make sure you write that very, very easy. It's not very difficult for you to write the answers. Okay. A couple of other things related to citizen charter. We have something called the Sevottam model or the Sevottam framework. What is Sevottam model? What is Sevottam framework? Sevottam is a word made by two words, Seva plus Uttam. Seva means service. Uttam means excellence. So in simple terms, Sevottam means excellence in service delivery. It means excellence in service delivery. Now, where did this word come from? This word called Sevottam also came from the second ARC only. The second ARC suggested that the government should improve its services to build more trust with the people, to improve their administration. In order for the government to improve the services, they suggested something called the Sevottam model. Basically, Sevottam model comprises of three things. What are the three things? These are the three things. As per second ARC, Sevottam model has number one, citizen starter, that every department should have a citizen starter of their own. Second thing, every department should have a grievance redressal. Grievance redressal means an option for the people to complain when they are not happy with the department, and the complaint should be heard. Third, every Sevottam model should have service delivery capability. Means you should ensure that they have enough capability to handle all the complaints, all the problems, all the services. So there has to be proper infrastructure development. Now, please remember, from the Citizens Charter, usually you only get questions in the mains exam. Usually from the Citizens Charter, you do not have questions in the prelims exam. But even then, I have made a couple of practice questions for you, so that just in case UPSC decides to ask it in the prelims also, you are able to answer that. But mostly in the past, we have seen Citizen Starter, this topic being asked only and only in the mains examination. Let's start. This is your first question. 10 more seconds. This department works under this ministry. So this department, that is a DARPG, works under this ministry, that is the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. Let's see one more question. Side, this is time-bound resolution. I just showed you, as per the second ARC, Sevottam model should have these three things. We should have grievance redressal mechanism, and we should have capacity building of every government department. Now is the time to move on to the next topic, one of the most important topics of governance and of polity. We will be discussing CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General. Before we do that, let me quickly see if there are any questions from your end, and then we'll go ahead. Comptroller and Auditor General. CAG is what we'll be discussing now. Yashwant is saying, has Sevottam model been implemented? Yashwant, the government has not officially said that we have implemented this. It's an ongoing journey. We do have citizen starter. We do have grievance redress in most of the government departments. Government is building the capacity. So government can't claim that we have implemented this 100%, but we are trying. Pranay saying, which articles to pick up from governance point of view? Pranay, I'm not sure. The articles of the Constitution are you asking, or you're asking articles from the newspaper? Okay, Harshita is saying, if elements of Citizen Charter are different for every department, how will we define the elements of Citizen Charter? So Harshita, the question will never ask you to tell elements of Citizen Charter of one single department. They will ask you the general elements that I showed you before I showed you the charter of the higher education department. That is what you have to go with. Simple. From the newspaper, see the articles from the newspaper, if they are related to what we are studying, that is relevant for you in governance. As simple as that. So in the 9 classes for governance, we will cover everything regarding governance that you need to know. If you have articles regarding that, for example, if there's an article related to CAG, related to RTI, it automatically becomes important for you. Okay, let's go ahead then. Okay, one last question I will answer for each and every one of you. Since yesterday, there have been many questions about Baiju's book on governance. It has some topics, it doesn't have some topics. My suggestion, forget that book, listen to the PPT, listen to this, you will be fine. Don't have to worry about anything else. Okay, so let's end that question. Forget that book, focus on the PPT, focus on the explanations, and you are good to go. Focus on current affairs, you are good to go. Let's come back. Now, let's come back to, as I said, one of the most important topics of governance and also of polity that gets asked very, very frequently in the examinations, both in the prelims and also in the mains. The topic is the CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General. This topic is a part of accountability. What do you mean by accountability? In simple terms, accountability means answerability. Are you ready to take responsibility of your actions? if you took a certain decision, for example, let's say you, let's take a very simple generic example. Let's say there are 5 people in your home. You all decide to go out. Everyone thought we should take an umbrella. You thought, no, it is not going to rain. Let us not take umbrella. Everyone listened to you. No one took the umbrella. You go ahead, it starts to rain. It was your decision. Do you take the responsibility that, yes, I am sorry, I am to be blamed for that? This is called accountability. Are you accountable? Are you responsible for your actions or not? To hold the government accountable, to hold the government responsible for its actions, to hold the government official responsible for their actions, we have multiple officials in India that do this job. But the topmost official who does this job to hold the government accountable is called the CAG, Comptroller and the Auditor General of India. Now, we will discuss each and everything about the CAG, how does it work, what is the CAG's job, etc. Let's first try and see how is CAG working, from where did we take this name. So CAG, again, that stands for Comptroller and Auditor General. Now, please listen to this very carefully. This is important. We took this office from Britain. Britain also has a CAG. However, there are two big differences between Indian CAG and the British CAG. Please understand this. The difference, first big difference, Britain and Indian. First big difference. In Britain, the CAG has two functions. In Britain, the CAG has two functions. One, he is a comptroller. And second, he is an auditor general or auditor also. In India, the CAG is only the auditor. In India, the CAG is only the auditor. CAG in India does not have the role of a comptroller. Now, let's understand what is a comptroller. What do you mean by a comptroller? Let's try and understand. Comptroller in simple terms is a person. Comptroller is a person who controls government spending. Who controls government's spending. Meaning that in simple words, in Britain, if the government of Britain has to spend even one single pound, before spending even one single pound, the government of Britain has to take permission of the CAG. Without the permission of the CAG, the Britain government cannot spend even one single pound. In India, that is not the case. Our CAG cannot stop the government from spending any money. Please understand this. In India, our CAG cannot stop the government from spending any money. The government can spend whatever money they want. CAG does not control the government spending. So in India, CAG does not play the role of a comptroller. The CAG does not control the government spending, number one. Second, the CAG, however, does play the role of the auditor. Understand this. The CAG does play the role of the auditor. What do you mean by the auditor? Auditor means once the government has spent the money, they will audit, they will prepare a report to see if the government has spent the money in the right manner or not. Let us take an example. Let's say the government of India took out 500 crore rupees to build a statue. Okay? Now the CAG will prepare a report to see whether this money was really spent in building the statue or the government only spent 400 crore and 100 is missing. If the government says we spent 2,000 crore on building the parliament, the CAG will check whether really 2,000 crore was spent in building the parliament only, or whether half of it was spent, half is missing, you don't know. This is called auditing. In India, CAG only has the auditing function. In other words, if I say that the job of the CAG in India only starts after the government has spent the money, not before that, this will be true. In India, the job of the CAG will only start after the government has spent the money. Before the government spends the money, CAG has nothing to do. That is a function that CAG has in India. Second big difference. In Britain, CAG is like a cabinet minister. CAG is like a cabinet minister. Meaning that CAG is like a minister. He's a part of the government only. Prime Minister can change the cabinet ministers if they don't like them. In India, that is not true. In India, CAG is an independent constitutional office. In India, CAG is an independent constitutional office. It is not a part of the cabinet. These are the two big differences between the British CAG and the Indian CAG. The British CAG again has the function of comptroller also, Indian CAG does not. Second, the British CAG is like a cabinet minister, works as a part of government, attends the cabinet meetings, everything. But in case of India, that is not true. In case of India, the CAG is an independent constitutional office. All those who are asking, why do we use the name CAG if he is not the comptroller? I will tell you the answer. The answer is file an RTI to know that and tell me also. Okay? File an RTI to know why in India also we call him the comptroller. When you get the answer, do let me know. Okay? That is how you will learn from governance. Spend 10 rupees. Because again, there's no logic behind why the government of India spent or did not remove the C word, but they have used it. Now, if you actually see, the CAG in India, as I said, is again something that works very, very independently. In fact, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that the CAG is by far the most important constitutional office in India. CAG is by far the most important constitutional office in India. Why? Because the CAG keeps the government accountable. Based on the CAG report, we have a lot of different scams that have come out in the past. In order to maintain accountability of government action, in order to hold the government responsible, we have many other positions as well. There is CAG. We also have Lokpal and Lokayuktas that work at center and the state level. We have something called the Whistleblower Protection Act. All of these things we will study later on in governance. So don't worry about that. Please don't start asking questions about Lokpal or Whistleblower Protection Act right now. All of these are topics that we will discuss in the future. Don't worry. Even the public can hold the government accountable through elections. How? Even the public can hold accountable. For example, if you don't like the government, if you don't like how the government is working, you don't vote for them in the next election. As simple as that. So government is held accountable even in the elections by the public. And then there are government authorities also that hold the government accountable. The CAG does that, the Lokpal, the Lokayut also. Now, just to tell you one more thing, by the way, CAG, for example, right now, India's CAG is Mr. G.C. Murmu. Mr. G.C. Murmu is the current CAG. Girish Chandra Murmu. Now, please understand, it is not necessary, or it's not that CAG is one single person only sitting with a calculator doing all the reports and auditing also. No, that is not true. Remember, CAG, we don't have CAG at the state level. We have CAG who works for the center government also to audit the accounts of the center government, and they also audit the accounts of the state governments as well. They audit the account of state government, they audit the account of the center government as well. However, CAG has a staff of thousands of people who work under them. CAG is one person, but there are thousands of people who work under the CAG. By the way, Have you heard of this IAAS? Have you heard of this IAAS? Not IAS, IAAS. Okay. Many people have heard of it. Those who don't know, IAAS is Indian Audit and Accounts Service. Indian Audit and Accounts Service. So basically, when you clear the UPSC exam, you get many services to choose from: IAS, IPS, IFS, etc. One of the other services in the same exam is the IAAS, Indian Audit and Account Service. If you choose this service, you get selected, you will work under the CAG only. So these people, these officers, IAAS, they work under CAG. Now, the interesting part is, although the people working under the CAG are IAAS officers, but at the top, the CAG that we have is usually an IAS officer only. Let me repeat. At the top, the CAG that is appointed is an IAS officer only that government appoints. All the people working under him are IAAS officers, Indian Audit and Accounts Service officers. So there's a difference between the two. And IAS officers are very angry with this because they think that at the top, the CAG post should also go to someone from IAS. But the government doesn't want that. Government only appoints IAS officers, usually because they are the ones that are close to them. Anyway, now the Audit and Account Service works for the CAG. CAG, as I said, is a constitutional body, provisions of which are given from Article 148 to Article 151. Now, let's look at how the CAG works. How have we ensured the independence of the CAG? See, CAG is an extremely important body and it tries to find out faults in the government, as simple as that. The entire job responsibility of the CAG is to make sure they find out faults in the government, whether government spent the right money or not, whether there is some corruption, whether some money is missing or not. That is the entire job of the CAG, to find out something wrong if it has happened. When you are working against the government, when you are working to find out faults in the government, obviously you have to give some protection to the CAG so that the government can't pressurize them. What is the protection given to them? Number one, their removal is the same as Supreme Court judge, meaning that the removal of CAG is not very easy. It's difficult for the CAG to be removed. It happens in the same manner as a Supreme Court judge. So far, no CAG of India has been removed ever. Second, how do we ensure their independence? Salary cannot be varied to their disadvantage. So when they are working, government cannot reduce their salary. Government, if they want to reduce a salary, reduction will apply from the next CAG onwards. But to the current CAG, you cannot reduce a salary. Third, not eligible for further reappointment. So they have a 6-year tenure and they work till 65 years. Once their tenure is over or once they retire, they cannot have other government jobs. Why is it important? Because if they had a possibility of getting some other government job, then they would favor the government in their reports, hoping that they will be rewarded later with another job. So there is a law, you cannot have any other government reappointment. Their salary is a charged expenditure. What do you mean by a charged expenditure? What do you mean by charged expenditure? What does it mean? Yes. Charge expenditure simply meaning the parliament does not vote on that. Means parliament does not vote to decide whether salary should be given, should not be given. The salary will be automatically deducted from the Consolidated Fund of India. It will go to the account of the CAG. The parliament does not control this. This is a charge expenditure. Not just this, the officers working for the CAG, that is IAAS officers who are working for the CAG, their working conditions will be decided by the president, but only on the advice of the CAG. Condition of service means salary, etc. What are the powers that will be given to them? What kind of a house will be given to them? How many workers, how many helpers will they have? All these kind of things. So all these kind of things about IAAS officers are decided by the president, but only and only on the advice of the CAG. The duties and the powers of the CAG are mentioned very clearly in the CAG Act of 1971. CAG works for 6 years, 65 years is the retirement age. They get the same salary as a Supreme Court judge. Salary, etc., usually is not asked in the exam, so you don't have to really worry about that. Now, what exactly are the functions of the CAG? As I said, CAG does not have any parallel office at the state level. So we have the CAG at the center level. He is a CAG of the entire country. He would audit all the accounts of the center government also and the state governments as well. So CAG will audit all the accounts of the government, Consolidated Fund of India, Contingency Fund, Public Account, all of these different types of accounts of the government. Be it the government of center, government of states, it is a CAG that will audit all these accounts. They also audit accounts of government companies, most of them. Government companies, also called as PSUs, for example, public sector undertakings. They also audit their accounts. They also audit stocks and stores. What do we mean by this? Let's take a simple example. Let's say that there is a new government building that is being built. Let's say Parliament building. Parliament building was built. The government of India said that we are ordering 200 air conditioners for the new Parliament building. So, and they spend the money. So CAG will not just see whether the money was spent or not. They will also check where are these 200 ACs. Are you actually using the 200 ACs or not? What if you are only using 150 ACs and 50 are kept in the go down? Minister Ji is now selling all these ACs to earn profit. So CAG will not just audit the accounts, also the stock, the stores that you have, the physical asset of the government. All of these are audited by the CAG. You can't just show on paper that you have just spent the money. No. Where have you spent the money? What did you do with this? All that becomes a function of the CAG. They also audit organizations which are substantially financed by the government. Again, the same problem. There is no definition of what is substantially financed. So the government decides. If the government has been financing some NGOs, etc., government will decide if the CAG should audit them or not. If there are any other institutions that the president or the governor request, that is also audited by the CAG. CAG not just audits, they also advise the union and the state governments how to maintain their accounts. In what way the account should be maintained, what should be the format of the accounts, etc. CAG also audits PSUs. PSUs, again, as I said, means government companies, that is public sector undertakings. Most of the public sector undertakings, most of the government companies are audited by the CAG. Now, look at the last point. Under Article 279(1), it also provides net proceeds certificate to the government of India. What do we mean by this? Please listen to this carefully. Every single year in the budget, the government announces how much money they have earned last year. Let's assume the government announced in the parliament that we earned 10 lakh crore rupees last year. However, this number 10 lakh crore will only be considered as the official number if the CAG gives a certificate. If the CAG certifies that yes, the government has earned this much money, yes, this much money has come in the government account, yes, this much money has reached the government exchequer, only and only when the CAG gives a certificate for this, that this has happened, only and only then it will be considered as official that yes, this money has reached the government and only then it will be accepted. That is called net proceed certificate. Net proceed means earning basically. Proceed means earning. What are your proceeds? So how much are you earning? So basically, how much have you earned? That certificate for the government has to be given by the CAG only and only then it will be considered as official. Now, the other question I have is, CAG prepares the report. Then what happens to the report? Where does he actually give the report? So CAG gives the report to President and the Governor. How? When the report is about central government, accounts of the central government, companies of the central government, any report related to the central government, Government of India, that report is given to the President of India. On the other hand, when there is a report about the state government, anything related to the state government, that report is given to the governor of the state. So central government reports go to center, go to president. State government report go to governor. What do they do with the reports? Let's assume a report has been given to the President of India by the CAG. What will the President do? President will then lay down the report in the Parliament. Lay down the report in the Parliament, meaning that in simple terms, President will give the report in the Parliament, ask the Parliament to discuss this. In the Parliament, who discusses this? There is a committee in the Parliament called Public Account Committee. How many members does it have, by the way? Public Account Committee? How many members? Yes, Payal, Abhishek, Tamanna, Ajit, Rupendra, Rani, Anurag, Vipin, Manika, Akansha, Abhishek, Kavanna, Sonam. Perfect, perfect. A lot of you are giving the correct answer. 22. How 22? 15 from Lok Sabha and 7 from the Rajya Sabha. So it's a 22-member committee. The PAC, Public Account Committee. There is a similar committee at the state level also, similar committee at the parliament level also. So this committee has a responsibility. When the CAG report comes, they are the ones who discuss. They are the ones who look into the report, then they see if something wrong has happened, etc. That is why it is said that the CAG acts as the friend, philosopher, and guide of the Public Account Committee. Please remember this line. The CAG acts as a friend, philosopher, and guide to the Public Account Committee, meaning that whenever the Public Account Committee needs any help in understanding the CAG report, when they need any help in identifying some issues, they will take the help of the CAG. The CAG will help them out. That is the relationship between the CAG and the Public Account Committee. They work very closely with each other. Now, what are the different types of reports that the CAG submits to the President? CAG submits 3 different types of reports. First report is public undertakings, means report on government companies, their profit, loss, etc. Then there's a report on appropriation account. Appropriation account means report on government spending. How much money has the government spent? Then there's a report on finance account, means government earning. Basically, the government revenue or government earning. How much have they earned, or how much have they got money even from loan, etc., from whatever. Basically, these are the different types of reports that are given. All these reports are given to the President. President gives them to the Public Account Committee, and the Public Account Committee then discusses the report. Now, let me ask you this question. Let's assume that the CAG gave a report, and in the report they say that 10,000 crore rupees are missing somewhere. From a government scheme, this money is missing. What happens next? What do you think? What happens next? Does a case get registered in the court automatically? Will the Supreme Court start inquiry? What happens exactly? If the report says, yes, there is some money that is missing, what do you think happens? Yes, Rathod. Okay, so I'll tell you what happens. Basically, the first thing that you have to understand, the CAG does not have any judicial powers. understand this thing first. CAG has no judicial powers. So CAG cannot just go ahead and say that now we will register a case. CAG's job will end once the CAG has given the report. Nothing after that. Let's assume now in the report the CAG says some money is missing. Now what happens? Usually what happens, the government then will ask their investigative agencies to investigate the matter to see where the money is and who is responsible for that. So usually the government agencies, CBI, etc. will take up the inquiry. They will see who is responsible. Let's assume government does not take any action because the government thinks it will bring a bad name to their party. People will start criticizing them. So government does not take any action. Then what happens? In case the government does not take any action, opposition members also can start going to the court. They can demand an inquiry. They can start demanding inquiry in the parliament, etc. That can also happen. So either the government takes an action to investigate the matter. If they don't take an action, it depends. Maybe the opposition members would force the government to take an action. Maybe they go to the court. What I'm trying to say is automatically the CAG report automatically will not result in a Supreme Court case, or it will not result in an investigation automatically. The government has to decide whether or not they want to follow it up with an investigation or not. Now, the CAG and the Public Account Committee has been working very closely. CAG reports, as I said, are seen, discussed by the Public Account Committee only. They are the ones who try and hold the government accountable. They ask questions to the government about the CAG report. They see if the government can answer. Now, the other interesting part is CAG, apart from auditing, also gives certain suggestions to the government. I'll give you an example. Let's take a simple example. Let's say the government of India spent 500 crore in building a bridge. Okay. The CAG audited it. The CAG found out everything is fine. You spent 500 crore rupees. It was spent officially, no corruption. But the CAG can still suggest that the government overpaid. The government could have done the same job for 300 crore also. The government could have saved 200 crore rupees. This is not a corruption charge. For example, if an air conditioner is available for 30,000, but the government buys it for 40,000 without knowing the original cost, that is not a corruption. That's a mistake. It should not have been done, but that's not really a corruption case as such. So basically, CAG also gives certain suggestions to the government that in the future you should do this, don't spend money like this, do this and that. CAG also sees whether their suggestions are accepted or not. Here also, Public Account Committee plays a big role. Public Account Committee tries to hold the government responsible on the CAG suggestions. The Public Account Committee, the PAC, will see whether the suggestions that have been given by the CAG are accepted or not, whether these suggestions are accepted by the government at all, whether they need to make any changes. All of these are the responsibilities of the Public Account Committee. Now, whenever you talk about the CAG in India, there is one person who made the CAG office very famous. Positive or negative, we'll discuss that later. But there's one person who made the CAG office extremely famous. That is Mr. Vinod Rai. Why? He himself is an ex-CAG. He was a CAG during the Congress government. When Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, he was the CAG. When Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, he was the CAG. So basically what happened was, he was the one who gave reports about a lot of scams. Even today, many people regard that Congress government was a very corrupt government, right? Many people have this image in their mind that Congress government was very corrupt. Why was that? Because he gave a lot of reports talking about different scams. He, for example, talked about the 2G scam. He said there is a Commonwealth scam. He said that there's a coal scam. A lot of these reports came out during his time period. And he said that all these things, now, right or wrong, whatever. So he gave a lot of these reports. The interesting part is, none of these have resulted in anyone being in prison for a long time. Meaning that because of his reports, the government had this image that it's a very corrupt government, and none of those that could be proven in the court. But we'll come to that in just a bit later on. Let's first go ahead with what did he suggest. Mr. Vinod Rai suggested certain reforms in the working of the CAG. What reforms did he suggest? First reform he suggested that we should bring public-private partnerships also under the CAG. See, right now, there are certain things that the CAG cannot audit. First thing that the CAG cannot audit is a public-private partnership. Now, what do we mean by a public-private partnership? Let's understand it this way. Who built the Parliament building, by the way? Which company got the contract to build the Parliament building that has just been inaugurated? The Tatas, right? So Tatas built the new Parliament building. So basically, this new Parliament building is a joint collaboration between Government of India and Tata. This is an example of public-private partnership. When the government wants to build a project, road, bridges, airports, ports, whatever, and the government gives a contract, let's say, to a private company, it becomes public-private partnership. Those projects are not audited by the CAG. Why? Because CAG cannot audit a private company. They are beyond the CAG. So when a private company gets involved, PPP partnership, public-private partnership happens, you cannot come in. The CAG will not come in there. This is a big problem. Vinod Rai suggested that we should have CAG taking up auditing of the public-private partnership as well. Secondly, CAG today do not audit Panchayati Raj institutions. They are audited by auditors decided by the state governments. Many government-funded societies also are beyond the CAG. These suggestions have been given by Vinod Rai that all these things, PPP partnership, Panchayati Raj institutions, government funding societies, all of these, as per Mr. Vinod Rai, should be a part of the CAG auditing. Second suggestion he gave, CAG Act of 1971 should be amended to keep pace with the changes in governance. Now, as I said, CAG Act of 1971 talks about the powers, the roles, the responsibilities of the CAG. This act is over 50 years old. There have been suggestions that this act does not give enough power to the CAG. For example, suggestions are, if a government official is found guilty, CAG should have at least some powers to maybe suspend the official. Let's say not even suspend the official. What happens is when the CAG asks for certain information from a government department, when the CAG asks a government department to submit bills or invoice, many government departments delay submitting these bills or invoice, etc. That is also something that should change. CAG should have the power to impose a time limit on the government department to submit the bills. That is also something that can be changed only with the CAG Act of 1971. He also suggested that the appointment method should change. Now, I'll come to that in just a second. Basically, there is one big problem with the CAG. In fact, the biggest problem with the CAG is about the appointment of the CAG. How is the CAG appointed? The CAG in India is appointed by the President of India. There is no committee. He will appoint the CAG on the advice given to the President by the Council of Ministers led by the Prime Minister. So in simple terms, the Prime Minister can give any name to the President of India. President will appoint that name as a CAG. There is no role of the opposition. There is no role of the judiciary. There is no experts from outside that decide who will be the CAG. The government alone takes a decision on who will be the CAG. That is also a huge problem. Because understand, what does the CAG do? The CAG has to hold the government accountable. And the same government is appointing the CAG. They will obviously appoint those who are close to them. The government will obviously appoint those who government thinks will be close to them, will work in their interest. Government will obviously not appoint someone else. That is a big problem. However, the governments have not changed it so far. Suggestion by Mr. Vinod Rai is that it should change. We should have a committee, a collegium kind of a system to suggest who shall be the next CAG. But that has not happened so far. See, the idea is very simple. The idea is very simple. That if we have such an important official, shouldn't the appointment be done by a bigger committee and not just by the government? That is a big issue. But government has not done this. See, why would the government do that? Government would want to keep their power in their hands. No government wants to give away power. However, there is one ray of hope. For example, recently, as you know, we had the Supreme Court of India changing the appointment method of the Chief Election Commissioner. Remember? The Chief Election Commissioner also was appointed in the same manner. No committee, nothing. The government just used to give a name to the president. That person was appointed. Now, Supreme Court has said that no, Chief Election Commissioner cannot be appointed in that manner. You have to have a 3-member committee. They will suggest, and that is how the appointment will happen. Maybe for the CAG also, the same thing might happen in the future. But at least for now, we do not have any committee like that. These suggestions have not been accepted by the government so far. Whether or not it will be accepted remains to be seen. Okay, let's answer a question for me. This has been asked by UPSC in the past. Read this carefully and then let's start the timer. Let me know once you've read it. 53% people have given the correct answer. This is D. You had to tell which of these is not a duty of the CAG. As I said, they do not control the receipt or issue of public money. That is not their job. They audit and they report. Auditing and reporting is their job, but controlling the issue of public money, this is not what they do. That is not their responsibility. The answer was pretty simple, D. Let's have one more question. Let's look at this. First, CAG exercises exchequer control on behalf of Parliament. In case of national financial emergency, no, nothing happens to the CAG whenever there is emergency. There is no connection between the two. Second, CAG reports on execution of projects or programs by the ministries and discussed by public account committees. Yes. Third, information in the CAG report can be used by investigative agencies to press charges. Yes. CAG, while dealing with audit and accounting of the government, has certain judicial powers. No. As I said, CAG does not have any judicial powers as such. CAG does not have any judicial powers. CAG can only submit the report. What happens to the report after that is not controlled by the CAG. Their work, their job ends at giving the report. The appointment issue I've already discussed, how appointment is a big issue. Now, I also want to now tell here, there are some interesting examples of CAGs being appointed and the CAGs being questioned. Just so that there is no confusion, I will give you 2 examples of different political parties so that you don't think it's about only one political party. I'll give you 2 examples of different political parties, one of the Congress, one of the BJP, so that you can see how this has remained a problem in both the governments. Let's see. In 2013, India had a new CAG. Who was this? In 2013, we had Mr. by the UPA government. UPA means a Congress government. When he was appointed as a CAG, many people filed a PIL in the Supreme Court saying that he should not be made the CAG. Why? because he was working as a defense secretary with the government of India. He was handling a lot of very sensitive cases. He was very close to the government, so he will not prepare reports which are unbiased. He will prepare reports only which are biased. So the idea was that he should not be appointed. Many people went to court, but the court refused to intervene. The court said, no, we will not intervene. So there have been many people who have asked questions about different CAG appointments. Then I'll give you one more example. See what has happened. In the past few years, the CAG reports have delayed. Number of reports have also come down. See, there are some problems in the working of the CAG as well. I'll tell you two big problems in the working of the CAG. One big problem in the working of the CAG is they get a delayed response from the ministries. Let's take a simple example. Let's assume there's a ministry that spent 1,000 crore rupees last year. Okay. So CAG will call them. CAG will ask, give me the report of where you spend this money. Submit the bills. So what the ministry will do? They will submit the bill like this, that we used 500 crore for, let's say, a government scheme. Fine. We use 100 crore for traveling purposes. Fine, not a problem. We use 200 crore rupees for electricity bill or different bills. Fine, not a problem. The last, they will say 200 crore for miscellaneous purposes. This miscellaneous purpose remains a big problem. They won't tell exactly where they spend the money. They'll say, oh, some here, some there, just small amounts here and there. So this miscellaneous part becomes a big problem for the CAG, how to identify whether the money was really spent in the right manner or not. When the CAG raises a complaint that you should not do this, then ministry will say, okay, we will take more time. Now, there are so many ministries, so many departments. When they send the data, they delay the data, not allowing the CAG to publish the reports properly. The other issue with the CAG is they have certain limitations. For example, their limitations are about intelligence agencies. They cannot ask. So CAG cannot ask for details of where the intelligence agencies spent the money because they are secret services. So for example, if the intelligence agencies say, we spent 500 crore rupees, he will have to accept it. He cannot ask questions. Where did you spend the money? Give me the detail. No, nothing like that. If the agency says we have spent 500 crore, 1,000 crore, they will have to accept that. That is why we have seen in the past few years, there is a decline in the number of reports and the reports are also delayed. Now, I'll give you one more example. I gave you one example of 2013, the Congress government. Now, I'll give you one example of 2017, BJP government. So, 2017, BJP government appointed a new CAG. He was Rajiv Maharishi. Rajiv Maharishi, who was working as a home secretary with the government. Home secretary is a very, very powerful IAS officer. He was working very closely with the government. And then after his retirement as the IAS officer, he was appointed as a CAG. Once again, people were not happy. There is an association of retired officers called Common Cause and Indian Audit Account Retired Service Officers Association. They wrote a letter to the Prime Minister saying that this should not be done. We should find some other person for the job, person who is more independent, who is not working for the government. But government did not listen. You don't come to government to listen to people, right? You come to government to do what you want. So they did not listen. And again, he was appointed. When he was a CAG, there were very few reports that were published. He did not say anything against the government. That again becomes a big problem. So these examples are very often. Now, Labdhi is saying, can we cite these examples? Now, listen to this. These are all facts. If you want to give these examples, fine. No problem with that. But what you have to understand is your examples can only be fact and not what you think. For example, you can write that in 2017, Rajiv Maharishi was appointed as a CAG. This was criticized by this association. They filed a letter, etc. All that is fine. But you cannot assume that he was corrupt. You cannot assume that he had a connection with the government. So don't write that part. That's an assumption. As long as you're only mentioning facts that someone was appointed as a CAG, someone filed an PIL, all that is true, all that is a fact. So you can quote these examples. But you cannot assume things which are not facts, at least which have not been proven so far. So go give examples, no issues with that, but only which is a fact. So again, proves that whichever government, whichever party is in power, they appoint people who are closer to them. They don't really listen to what others have to say. They appoint people who are close to them. Now, the current CAG is GC Murmu, again an IAS officer who has been working very closely with the government for a long time. So again, if you see, the CAG as an office has become an office where governments appoint favorable officers that are much more favorable to them. And this has continued. The other problem, as I said earlier, is it justified that you have an IAS officer leading over a team of Indian Audit and Account Service? Is it justified? Not really. Not just this, the CAG also handles the responsibility of governments at the state level, at the center level. Should you not have an expert in this position? The CAG has over 46,000 staff. Why is it that the governments, and it's not just this government, every government, why is it that they would prefer IAS officers only and not the experts in this field? That also remains a big problem. Now, there are two ways to look at this. What is the side of the government? The government side is simple. They say, who is the defense secretary? Defense secretary is not a soldier. Who is the health secretary? Health secretary is not a doctor. Who is the secretary in the law ministry? He is not a lawyer. So why is it that you want the CAG to become an IAS officer only? Why is it that CAG has to be from that? Because government says CAG is not doing auditing himself. People under him are auditing. He is just looking over them. He is a final authority. That is the government side of the argument. But the problem is, having an expert at the top always helps. There is no doubt that having expert at the top will be helpful. But the government does not accept. This is what the government says. And this is why even between the different services, IAS, IPS, IAS, there's a lot of rivalry. No one likes the IAS services because every service thinks that IAS people think of themselves like they are the boss, they are everywhere. And that is true, they are everywhere. Because the government prefers them. Why the government prefers them? Because government has been working with IAS officers for a long time. So government trusts these IAS officers. They think that they are closer to them, so they can influence them. That is how it usually works. Now I'll tell you one other very interesting thing about the CAG. I told you the name of Mr. Vinod Rai, ex-CAG. He is the one who made the CAG office very famous. He was the first CAG to bring out all these ridiculous reports that this scam has happened, this scam has happened. Nothing was proven later on. The only thing that happened was Congress became a corrupt party in everyone's mind. So there's something very interesting that happened. Now, Vinod Rai, when he was the CAG, listen to this very carefully. Vinod Rai, when he was a CAG, he gave an interview to the media. In the media, he said that that is CAG, he got a call from a Congress leader, Sanjay Nirupam. So CAG told the media he got a call from a Congress leader called Sanjay Nirupam, and Sanjay Nirupam requested him, that is a CAG, please don't include the name of our Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh in your report. Please don't include the name of Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh in the 2G spectrum report. So CAG again, and I'm repeating it, CAG told the media that I got a call from Congress leader requesting me, please don't put the name of Dr. Manmohan Singh. This Congress leader Sanjay Nirupam became very angry. He said, I have never spoken to the CAG. How will I call him? I have never spoken to CAG. So Sanjay Nirupam filed a case in the court. And what happened? CAG had to issue an apology. Mr. Vinod Rai issued an apology saying, sorry, I was mistaken. Now, why am I telling you this? This is not that government will or UPS will ask this in the examination. I'm telling you this as an example that the prestige related to the office of the CAG is declining. There are many reasons for why the prestige related to the office of the CAG is declining. One, the appointment not being done in a transparent manner. But the other reason why the appointment, apart from appointments, why the CAG's prestige is declining is because of these incidents. CAGs making tall claims which are not proven, then issuing apologies. When you are at a position which Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, for example, called as the most important constitutional position, you cannot just randomly make these kind of statements. But so that also results into this problem. Now, there's also one big problem. So this CAG, Vinod Rai, when he was a CAG, he published a lot of reports saying that this scam has happened, that scam has happened. Because of that, the image of the government got battered. Government lost the election. Even today, we say that the previous government was very corrupt. But none of that was proven in the court. Now, the problem is, if those reports have not been proven, who should take the blame? Someone should take the blame, right? If the CAG said that this has happened, that scam has happened, but none of that was proven, so either the Supreme Court judges are wrong or the CAG is wrong, because both are saying contrary things. One is saying there was a scam, other is saying there was not a scam. So when both things are contrary, someone has to take the responsibility, but none of this has happened. There is no responsibility of the CAG. No one here to hold accountable. There is no responsibility, no accountability of the CAG. That is a big problem. Yes, CAG can be removed from the office in the same manner as a Supreme Court judge can be, but that is extremely difficult. There is no provision of having accountability of the CAG. In the past few years, the number of CAG reports have come down considerably, as you can see, over the past few years. And again, how did the person get this data? RTI. Just imagine how you can use the RTI. So the person filed the RTI to get to know how many details have come out, how many reports have come out from CAG, and the number of reports are coming down each and every year. Now, this is a question, as is your homework. Try and write answer to this question. We will discuss this tomorrow, don't worry. In the remaining time, I have one more practice question for you, then I will take some of your doubts. This is your homework, and from here, we will resume tomorrow. We'll resume tomorrow from here. Let's answer one more question for me. Yeah, let's answer this question. Then I will take some of your questions and then we'll end the session. Easy question. 73% people got this right. This is D. This is D. Let's bring out the leaderboard and see Varman, Baldev, Vipin, Labdi, Murli, Alisha, Ajay, Godavari, Diksha, Shahid, Abhishek, Asmita, Manmohan, Rupika, Meshak, and Priya. Good job, guys. If you also answered all these 5 correctly, maybe your name is not here. The reason being, you may have taken more time than these people. That is why your name is not here. Don't worry. Okay. I'll dedicating the last 10 minutes to your